Pump it up, pump it up.
Trae.
Come on, come on.
With Trae.
Pump it up, pump it up.
It's the day with Trae.
This is the day to gain inspiration, to make a positive change in the nation. We're inviting you to partake in conversation, to raise your vibration. It's the day that we will all celebrate all of our peace that make this thing elevate. Watch the negative fade away, cause it's the day with Trae.
Grand Rising, everyone. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. I want to welcome you to a Winery Wednesday. That's right. I'm so excited to have the owners of Saanj Winery joining me today. We're going to be talking all about their journey into the industry as a married couple and what it's like to be doing business together to bring out this amazing wine to the masses. But of course, as you know, y'all, it is the top of the show. It's a perfect time to tag and share this show right here. However you're watching it, share it with people who could benefit from our daily dose of dopeness we give you right here on the Day with Trae. If you can't watch our TV show, we still have you covered, y'all, because you can listen to us anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Just search Converge Media Network and the Day with Trae. You'll find me on whichever platform is your favorite. Well, before I get into it about the winery, y'all, I'm really excited because as I shared earlier this week, this Friday, we have an amazing The Day with Trae and evening special happening on Friday at 8 p.m. right here on whereweconverge.com. Y'all, I'm really excited because I got the opportunity to talk to Kaba Kamene while he was in town. He stopped by the Black Media Matter Studios to tell us more about his journey as an educator. Y'all listen here to what he had to say about turning his research into writing.
I didn't know how I was going to do it, but the research I was doing in the earlier part of my career, I knew I was going to turn that into something. I tell people I am not a writer. I write books because I have something to say.
Well, I'm telling you right now, you definitely want to tune in Friday as he drops way more gems about his journey and gives us some insight into what it was like for him to go from media to being an amazing educator and continuing now to speak to people all over the country about his phenomenal work. Well, I'm excited, y'all, because we got another amazing couple joining us who are contributing to the industry of wines. First, I get to talk to Kye Freeman-Chaudhry. I'm really excited to have her joining me. We're going to be talking about her personal journey and why they chose Saanj Winery to be their business of choice. Welcome, Kye. How are you?
Good, Trae. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to have y'all too. I mean, this is quite phenomenal. We know that there are not many people from the global majority that are involved in wines. So I've got to ask you, before we get into the winery, tell us a bit about that background, your history.
Yes, thank you. Thanks again for having me. So again, my name is Kye. I would say I didn't grow up in the wine industry, not kind of my background. So I think that already kind of puts us a little bit in a different edge. But for me, wine kind of started, oddly enough, in my childhood with my mom. My mom's a huge Chardonnay drinker. And so I just have some fond memories of her, ordering in the restaurant when we go out for lunch, like, can I have a glass of Chardonnay? And that just really being like something I always remember asking, I want a glass of Chardonnay too. And she's like, no, like you can't have that. But, fast forwarding to today, I think really just being immersed in kind of the wine culture and wine tasting has really just driven me and my husband to think through and just say, you know what, I think we want to kind of create something of our own in our own space. And so that's kind of how it started in a nutshell.
Well, it's interesting too, because see, for me, it was my grandfather who was like, I'm gonna tell you, there's something very specific about wines that's different than like liquor. And he retired from the Liquor Control Board. So back in the day. So his experience and his expertise in the field always intrigued me, right? But I didn't know anything about wines. I mean, you got to actually evolve your palate a bit to understand all of these different hints and notes in wine. Tell us about that journey that you took to explore wines more.
Yeah. So it all kind of started actually about 8 years ago when my now husband took us out on our first date, believe it or not. And, we were coming fresh out of college. And so he was trying to impress me, trying to, do something grown, not just going out, to the clubs or something like that. It was like, let's take her out for a date. And so we went out locally here in Woodinville, just north of Seattle. And we went to one of the wineries there. And, it was our first time. And we were just instantly immersed with just, again, like so many different types of wines, learning about the grapes, just like the beauty of that, all the different smells and things to learn. And so that's really what intrigued us first. But I think the one thing I noticed, and my husband noticed now, is that, we kind of felt out of place. So there weren't a lot of people that looked like us. There weren't a lot of people who were our age. And then to your point earlier that you made, like you often feel like you got to know wine. You got to know the notes, you got to know what you're smelling, you got to know what type of glass you're trying to drink out of. And that was really intimidating to us. And we're like, oh, shoot, like maybe, we got to study up on this. And so through that, we ended up going a lot more places to wine taste, right? Just to kind of learn different experiences and things like that. And that's really like our journey to learning wine. But it was definitely kind of just more of an intimidation and like, okay, I think we got to like, step it up and do our homework on this because, otherwise we're going to feel out of place here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, when we talk about that, I think you're so right. I don't know that the industry does the greatest job of kind of opening its doors so that, newcomers really find a pathway to it. And so it takes a lot of, I think, self-exploration in order to get to that place. So it's interesting to hear you say that because in my mind, I'm like, what gets anybody who maybe you just start off liking wine and then, like you said, you go to wine tastings, you realize like there's more that intrigues you about it. But I love that you and your husband were sharing this journey together throughout the whole time. Tell us a bit about that and how it's been to be working alongside one another to really embark on this phenomenal endeavor.
Yeah, I appreciate your insight. Yeah, and so kind of again, just going wine tasting and all of that, that's really what sparked this journey now with Saanj Winery. And so again, feeling out of place, feeling like we had to know so much about wine, it's interesting. My husband now, but then, we were just starting to date. He was like, wouldn't it be cool if we started our own thing with this? And, I thought he was kind of crazy. So I was like, I don't even know you that well. But, it was something that from 8 years ago, fast forward to today, like we've always just kind of dreamed about like, no, let's make our own experience. Let's create something where people don't have to feel like they need to be a certain way. They need to taste a certain thing, whether they're new into wine or whether they're intermediate drinkers or something. Wine shouldn't have to be so hard, right? You should just come into a space, be yourself, have people look like you and feel comfortable and tasting and say, hey, like, I like this wine, or hey, I don't. And then that's okay too, right? Like, it's fine if you don't, but let's talk about it. And so that's really what jump-started Saanj, really of just like fitting everybody's vibe, right? Like just being easy, allowing newcomers, especially people of color, younger people too, where we know they're out there drinking wine. It's just, to your point earlier, they're not as showcased.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, this is why I think when they find that there's a brand that speaks to them more, you may find that more people get into it, right? I mean, like ultimately, I think, a lot of folks try whatever wine is available. You get the, oh, you want red or white. And for a lot, until you start really trying it, you don't know which one you may be into. And so I love this kind of exploration y'all did together to really get to this point. Now, I got to ask, because this is one of those things that feels like it's an uphill battle. I mean, if you're talking about the industry is not yet really ready identity for kind of newcomers. Just give us maybe some of those challenges y'all had to overcome.
My husband and I didn't traditionally grow up in the wine space, right? Usually you'll see folks who have it kind of generationally, you know, my grandfather, great-grandfather had a vineyard, you know, handed it down to them. And so that was already kind of a disadvantage for us. But I think too, and just like the traditional winemaking as well, right? We don't have those backgrounds. And so that was kind of that uphill battle. I think too, and just taking that backwards, just starting a business, knowing about all the different licenses, all the different things, paperwork that you need to start up, and you don't know what you don't know, right? And so we found too that sometimes it can just be hard to get access to some of that information. So, you know, we did a lot of homework to just talk to people, right? So talk to current wine owners, talk to current wineries, talk to current wine shops, things like that, just to get as much knowledge and say, okay, like, how do we want to create our business and our brand? But, you know, I think it's in the wine industry, there's kind of a lot of, I don't want to say necessarily like gatekeeping, but there's just, you got to kind of unravel some of that stuff and find, you know, some of those key people that, you know, will kind of give you those tips and just kind of help open those doors so that we can kind of navigate our way. So it's been a journey for sure.
Well, there it is. And Saanj is born. Now, when you got to that place where you're like, oh my goodness, we're really doing this. You know, we have a brand, we are building our brand identity. Tell us about the experience that you had to just kind of sit back and realize like, wow, we are doing this.
Yes, I think the first, I mean, it's been like several different phases, but I think the first thing was like the commitment to say, hey, we're doing this. Like, you know, we started this officially like last year where we got our licensing and everything like that. And that was like that first phase of excitement, like, okay, like now we're committed to this. I think the second phase, at least for myself, that was a really good learning journey, was going through that brand identity. It was such a great experience, especially just kind of determining, okay, like what is Saanj? What does Saanj look like? Who is Saanj? What colors represent that? What colors represent the brand? And just going through that whole phase of like, okay, like what is Kye like? What is Shahron like? What is Saanj going to be together with us, you know, putting kind of our hearts and soul to that, and just, you know, from the visual to the feeling, the identity, the lifestyle, all of that was such a great experience. And so to me, that was like a telling moment when we first saw our logo, we got our colors, and then we got our labels, right? And then I think the finale was really like when we had that first physical bottle with everything, you know, from the brand content to the actual wine itself in our hand. Like that was a really great experience.
Oh, well, I'm so glad that you came to share this journey with us. Of course, I'll be talking to Shahron later, but tell us how folks can get the brand, how they can learn more and continue to follow you on your journey. Let them know right there.
Yes. So we're super excited for Saanj Winery to be officially launching next month in June. But you can check us out on our website, which is Saanj, just SAANJ-winery.com. We've got that going. We're going to be going live with our official website later this week. And then you can check us out on our Instagram as well. So we're at Saanj_winery. And then you can also check us out on Facebook too. And just please follow, share with your friends. We've got our launch party coming up as well. Super excited for that.
Well, I'll be talking to Shahron all about that. Kye, thank you so much for joining me today and giving us some background.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Trae. Pleasure.
Wow. Y'all, what an inspiring story already. We're going to continue this inspiration because up next, we got Shahron Chaudhry in the building. We're going to be talking about his perspective on all of this growth that they've experienced with launching Saanj Winery. Y'all don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Slicing out to right field. A diving catch. Candone lays out, and he makes the catch. Swinging a line shot. Diving catch. J.P. Crawford behind the bag at second. Then the ball game is over. A tremendous flying, diving, spectacular catch.
the importance to share the history of the Buffalo Soldiers of Seattle and Buffalo Soldiers of everywhere, including cowboys and cowgirls of color everywhere, is really important because most likely they're forgotten. It's important that they're acknowledged, especially for girls like me who look up to them.
At a rodeo, it's got an impact on people when they see somebody doing something like that, especially a person of color, you know what I mean? It's got a big impact on people, I think.
Representing the Evergreen State, I am your Miss Teen Rodeo Washington, Jessa Thomas. Welcome to the Windswept Farm.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Joining me right now is Shahron Chaudhry. Hi.
Hey, how's it going, Trae?
Good. Now, this is exciting because y'all are bringing some flavor to the industry of
For sure,
wines.
yeah.
And we got to hear from Kye about the background. Just tell us a bit of your perspective on embarking on this journey to do something that's really quite phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely. I think it really starts with our origin story. When I took Kye out to our first date, I wanted to really impress her. And I kind of wanted to show, I want a real relationship, And so I went to take her out to a wine tasting room in Woodinville. And from there, we immediately got captured by the art of winemaking, the amount of work that goes into growing grapes. And that really resonated with me on a familial perspective because my parents both immigrated from Punjab, which is northern part of India. And within our ancestry, my parents were farmers, my grandparents were farmers, my great-grandparents were farmers. So hearing about that aspect on the farm making within grape growing and then producing wine from grape, I resonated a lot with that. And from there, that's really what kind of inspired us to be able to start our winery eventually. And I remember going to Kye and kind of whispering to her, on our first date, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we had our own winery? And she said, no, you're crazy. This is our first date. What are you thinking? And so fast forward, that was 8 years ago. And now we're on this amazing journey where we're starting Saanj Winery. And we're really picking up on trying to make wine very fun, approachable, and relatable, where you don't necessarily have to know about wine to enjoy wine.
Yeah.
It really starts with, you like it? Perfect. Tell us why you like it.
There it is. And you know what? That message can resonate with anyone, right?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, anyone who's trying it can find those things they like or don't like.
Yeah.
And I love that Kye said, hey, if you don't like it, tell us that too. Tell us why, right? But it allows for, I think, the open door about, like I was saying, something is kind of built with me in mind, right? As a consumer, which oftentimes that doesn't hit global majority communities when you're talking about wine.
Yeah.
Now, I got to dig into this name here of Saanj. It's a very beautiful name. What is the history of Saanj? Why that name?
Yeah, that's a really great question. It was such a journey for us to choose a name that resonated with what we're trying to achieve within the wine industry and what levels of wine consumers that we're going after. We wanted something that speaks a little bit about our culture, but is also easy to pronounce and easy to understand. So what Saanj means, it's a word that's from northern India, from Punjab, and what it means is uplifting the community towards a common goal. Wow. And that's what Saanj Winery is all about, is to be able to bring our customers in, bring any level of wine consumers, show them that they're being seen, and be able to uplift that community towards more inclusivity, more opportunities to be part of this wonderful wine industry, and also to enjoy our various different types of wines.
Wow. Well, I just knew that name had a meaning. I had to ask about it. Well, you have some bottles here. We're going to dig into the branding here. If you want to pull up one, I would love to just kind of talk about look, I mean, this branding is quite phenomenal. Give us some of the background of the art behind the branding.
Yeah, definitely. So we worked a lot with a local artist here in Seattle. Her name is Alexia, and she helped a lot with our branding concept. And we went through 40 different arts, 40 different art concepts and 40 different logo concepts to really try to define who we are as a couple that's starting a winery, and then what do art that you see here really represents Northern Indian Art Deco and really captures the personality of Saanj Winery and captures the personality of our family and myself and Kye. And so we wanted something, again, to show representation and for folks to not feel intimidated, right? Like, we want wine to be fun and approachable, and our slogan is like, wine to fit your vibe. So you define what the vibe is as you're drinking our wine. Like, we're not gonna, go into like the technicals that you're gonna taste honeysuckle or anything like that. We want you to tell us like what resonates with you when you drink wine. It could be memory, it could be taste, and that's what we try to showcase within the art of our labels within our winery.
Well, I mean, you have some phenomenal ones here.
Yeah.
This one here, you got the brother, he's got his head scarf on.
Yeah.
I mean, if y'all can kind of see this is quite fantastic because you don't see wines that actually reflect global majority communities enough. Now, I will say that we're starting to see more and more, folks from the global majority get involved in the wine industry. So I think y'all are coming in an upward trend here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you already did a bunch of market analysis to understand that. But tell us about the business of wine, of having a winery. That means you've got to know a bit about grapes. You got to be growing them in the right places. You got to be connecting with those who have the fields. Tell us about that part of the business.
Yeah. So our perspective is a little bit different than, I would say, most wineries out there. So we really partner with local winemakers in Eastern Washington to craft wines that really speak on any level of wine consumers that could be able to enjoy. So we work with local vineyards and local winemakers within those vineyards and give them essentially a recipe sheet on what we're looking for and what our core consumers are looking for. So that way it kind of makes this very easy, very palatable, and doesn't go into the nitty gritty of like bold wines that are kind of like a turnoff for new consumers coming in. Because I think the narrative that a lot of people think of is, shoot, wine is like my grandparents' drink, or wine is my parents' drink. No, wine could fit in any type of lifestyle you got, any type of vibe. So we really hone in on wine profiles, and that process was it goes into the nitty gritty of like chemical panels and chemistry sets to be able to distill grapes and then start to ferment those grapes into wines that we're looking to produce. I would say like the other part of the wine business that not a lot of folks maybe highlight is the amount of compliance work that goes into it. It's alcohol at the end of the day. So we are very regulated. There's a lot of hoops that you need to jump through. There's a lot of red tape that you need to be able to understand what the risks are. So there was a pretty big gap in us trying to understand what those compliance matters are and how can we start to use that to scale our winery. And then the third piece that I think is a huge impact as well is how do you start to make a sustainable company, right? Because if you look at a company, there's a lot of aspects that you need to consider, such as accounting, finance, and this might be some of like the boring stuff. But it's the stuff that really matters at the end of the day too, to be able to have something that can continue to grow and be something that could be retained by every level of wine drinker, not something that's going to be in vogue. So that's how we try to really define who we are as a winery, who we are as a company, and what exactly is our brand that's going to showcase more representation towards our core consumers.
Oh, well, see, that's giving us a lot right there for sure. But I also think too, I mean, when you think about embarking to open up a winery, to start this kind of business, I'm sure you're also thinking about the end product and then distribution. Tell us a bit about how this gets into consumers' hands.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really great question. So our model is really based on a hybrid model. So what I mean by this is we're doing a direct-to-consumer model. So what we want to see is we want to have our folks be able to purchase the wine on our website, and then we could bring it within depending on where you live in Washington State, within 2 or 3 days. And then the next step of that is also to do pop-up events throughout Washington or throughout the greater Seattle area. We find that sometimes it becomes an inconvenience to be able to drive to Woodinville where you're at, and that's because of traffic. Like, streets aren't getting any better. There's a lot of construction that's happening. So we want to be close to our core consumers by doing these pop-up events that we'll be starting to do in September to December. So each month we'll have a pop-up event. All of the details are going to be announced on our website, so folks can be able to go to saanj-winery.com, and that's where a lot of the announcements will be, and that's where we'll be able to, sell in person and have folks get an opportunity to meet myself and Kye.
Well, as y'all explored, it's all about the wine tastings,
Yeah.
because once they taste it
Yeah.
and they're loving it, they're going to buy the bottles. Well, y'all also have this phenomenal launch event that is coming up. Tell us a bit more about those details.
Oh gosh, the launch party is going to be fire. It's going to be so much fun. We've got a DJ coming in. So in my culture, there's a drummer that's called a doli, and he's going to be beating the drums to the beat of the music to get everyone hyped. And then we've got more entertainment coming in. We'll have a dance group come in to really highlight like the cultural aspect, right? Because the way that we see wine, and going back to the origin stories of Saanj Winery, we saw a lot of folks celebrating with a glass of wine. And when you think about it, in every culture, there's always a hint of celebration. And for us, we want to be able to celebrate the people that have come to the launch party, but also to highlight aspects of our culture.
Oh, this
Yeah.
is beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, if folks want to come to the launch, if they're trying to get more connected with Saanj, look right there and let them know how they tap in.
Yeah, definitely. I would say follow us on Instagram at Saanj_winery. Saanj is spelled SAANJ_winery on Instagram. And then go to our website, saanj-winery.com. And over there's going to be a lot of announcements, such as pop-up events, launch party details that's happening on June 29th. Y'all don't want to miss that. And then at our Instagram, we drop a lot of videos. We drop a lot of fun videos to be able to show like how our wines kind of fit everyone's lifestyle.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, this is fantastic. Thank you for entering into this industry to make it more open for folks who have never really seen themselves on that side of the business.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much.
Thank you, Trae. Really appreciate this and appreciate this opportunity.
Absolutely. Y'all, what an inspiring story indeed all around. Y'all know I'm going to wrap it all up right after this short break. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Let's start the show.
Ballet's greatest comedy, Coppelia, returns to Pacific Northwest Ballet. Perfect for all ages, Coppelia delights with dazzling dancing and magnificent music played by the PNB Orchestra. Seven performances only. Visit pnb.org for tickets.
Here on Back to Vesa, it's always been important to me that we uplift stories from across the region, and that no matter where you live in the nation, you never have to miss a moment of the show as we continue to highlight the beauty, excellence, and resilience of our communities across the Pacific Northwest. Why? Because representation matters. So no matter where you live, be it the Central District or Centralia, Portland or Pullman, or anywhere across the country, I encourage you to join me on this Back to Vesa journey by downloading the free Fox Local app on your phone or smart TV as we continue to elevate the very best in our communities.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. I'm so inspired, y'all. I want to give a huge shout out to Kye Freeman-Chaudhry and to Shahron Chaudhry, both of them a married couple doing it big in the world of winery. This is a Winery Wednesday, y'all, as I said earlier, and I'm excited because we get to be inspired by folks who see something and do something about it. You know, they went on a date and he said, what if maybe one day we had our own? And here they are 8 years later showing us what it's like to infuse your culture into an industry that often has not done so. So be inspired, y'all, because whatever it is that you are supposed to be doing with your energy, your time, your talent, your treasures, all of the things that you bring, there's so much that we can gain when you bring it out for all of us, as they have shown you they're doing. So be inspired, y'all, to be a part of the solution. For me, until tomorrow at 11 a.m. Peace.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.